doing, Doc?
I need fuel.
Give me fuel, take a fly, ship me trace it out of sight.
Now, here are your hosts, John Eddie Jr. and Tom Tuttle.
Welcome back to Fantasy Fuel. We are here on opening day of baseball. I know you probably aren't listening for baseball news, but Tom and I are excited. His Brewers won. My Mariners are up at this point. I don't think they can blow this one, but we will see. How excited are you about opening day?
Dude, I love baseball. Sometimes I love it more than football. I know that's like a sin to say, but it's just there's something about watching your team every single day to where it's just like, yes, I have something every day I can watch. And sometimes you don't have to watch it. You can just keep it on your TV, whatever. But I love baseball.
We're not fishing through all the Twitter feeds during the football season trying to find something to talk about.
Right, exactly.
There's no game on today. I mean, it's only 3 games a week, or 3 days a week. But all right, enough about baseball. We're going to start with
the news around the National Football League.
I had originally planned to talk about something different right away, but in the last couple of hours, it seems my Philadelphia Eagles have been wheeling and dealing. Howie Roseman added again, traded a 6th possible 5th round pick for Jordan Howard. So our running back situation a little bit clearer. What do you think of this one, Tom?
Well, it's definitely a good deal for the Eagles. I mean, you guys needed something, and Jordan Howard's just really not that bad. He's not that bad of a player, and he just didn't work out in Chicago. It's just a different type of offense. That offense is completely different than what Jordan Howard gives to a football team, and I believe that he will give the Eagles a really good running back. Yeah, you guys need something. You didn't really have anything that you could count on. I know you had the one rookie last year that was pretty decent for a little while, but he can't put the workload on him. So
no, not yet. I think Jordan Howard fits fairly well. I actually was missing LeGarrette Blount last year. Some of those runs that he would just break off and run over a couple of people. It was nice to see, and hopefully Jordan Howard. I've seen him do it in the past, so hopefully he can fill that void that was left by LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, absolutely. I really do think that he makes the Eagles a better team. They needed a running back, and they went out and got one.
And we'll get more into it later because the topic of our show today is going to be the current ADP rankings for PPR drafts. But due to the departure of Jordan Howard in Chicago, there's a guy that I think we both kind of like a little bit now that he's gone, and that's the recent addition in Chicago of Mike Davis. We'll talk about his ADP later, but I think he's going to be a steal in some drafts this year.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, he's going to go up from where he's at now because of this, but he's definitely going to be underlooked in most drafts, and that's the kind of people you got to go for.
That's right.
Got you lots of value that way.
So we have what I was going to start with before the news of Jordan Howard joining the Eagles because of our Wisconsin nativity. Jordy Nelson has finally decided to actually call it quits. Amazing career with the Packers. Best chemistry I've ever seen with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah.
Won a Super Bowl, hopefully they'll bring him back in one of the preseason games or something and give him a little tribute and let him step on the field for a second or something.
Yeah, I was a little surprised they didn't just sign him on like a one-day contract, whatever, just so that he could retire as a Packer.
He probably will, but
they've
done it yet.
Yeah. We'll see what happens later on, but I definitely you think of Jordy Nelson, you think of the Packers. You're definitely not going to think of the Raiders.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nope. And then speaking of the Packers, we have found out that Packers versus Bears will be the Thursday night opener for the 100th season of the National Football League. And what two better teams than two of the oldest and one of the oldest rivalries, Packers versus Bears. So our neck of the woods is probably pretty pumped up right now to get this season going.
Yeah, well, I think everybody's starting to get pumped about football. And I think it's starting to get in the air. You can feel it because people are talking about the rookies and all that stuff. And now you're thinking about drafting if you're in a fantasy football league, you're doing your mock drafts and all that. And I just think it's starting to get more exciting. Once baseball starts, football really kind of gets kicking in gear too.
That's true. We were talking about opening day, and I did my first best ball draft last night. So I'm already on top of things, and I was pretty happy with my best ball draft. We'll probably talk about that a little bit as we're going through ADP later.
Sure.
A couple more news items. You were talking about rookies and Dwayne Haskins, the possibility of him going to the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I read a stat that I'm not too happy about if you think Dwayne Haskins is going to be a good quarterback. 72% of his catchable passes in 2018 were either behind the line of scrimmage or within 10 yards after it. That's higher than every other quarterback prospect in the last 4 draft classes.
So you're saying he's not super accurate any further than 10 yards down the field?
Just that much of his catchable passes were that short. So I don't know if he's necessarily inaccurate further than that, but he's not attempting many after that.
That could be true too. I'd like to see others that same stat on other quarterbacks to see how that compares to others, but it definitely raises an eyebrow for sure.
Yes, I believe the last person I'd heard talked about in that manner was Geno Smith. He had a lot of passes that did not go very far in his last years at West Virginia. So you know how that turned out. We have some firsthand knowledge on this show about Mr. Geno.
You do not want to be compared to Geno Smith. I mean, honestly, I'd rather have Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, he at least gave you a couple of good years and some hope. I don't think Geno ever did that after he got punched in the jaw.
Yeah, that was pretty much the hopeless point right there.
Yep.
That was the limit.
Because you were actually kind of excited about him going into that year.
I was excited about him for his rookie year, and his second year didn't work out. And I needed that third year. I needed to see it. If he didn't have it, then it would have been done, and I would have given up on him. But he got punched in the jaw, and then it became the Fitzmagic show, and it was great. I love the Fitzmagic stuff. I mean, he led us almost to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Stupid Bills had to beat us the last game of the season, but whatever.
Winning you're in, and you couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it. That's Fitzmagic, though. Isn't that kind of how he is?
That's exactly how he is, and I expect more of that. And we'll probably get into him a little bit with some ADP knowledge and players around him, because there's not much there.
Yeah.
One more thing I'd like to talk about, newsworthy. Again, with the New York Giants, John Mara was apparently the only person to vote no on the new 4th and 15 proposal option instead of the onside kick. So 31-1 about giving teams that option of going for it on 4th and 15 instead of an onside kick. Where do you stand on this issue?
I'd rather see the onside kick. I just think it's something that's everybody's used to, and I don't know. It's just the 4th and 15 seems like it's just too easy. It's too easy to convert on a 4th and 15. I've seen that converted way more than I've seen a onside kick converted.
Well, from what I've been reading, a 4th and 15 conversion is about as successful as the old onside kick rules.
Okay, well
onside kick rules it only works about 7% of the time, I think it was, where before it was about 20% of the time.
Okay, when you say the old onside kick rules, I have to clarify. Are you talking about just the run up, or are you talking about you could stack everybody on one side of the field?
I believe it was more of the running up, but I'm not 100% sure. I was just reading about new and old, but I hate the fact that you can't stack everybody over there.
Yeah, I
because,
think that's another thing they took away, that I don't know, just keep certain things the way it is. It's really not. Are people really getting hurt on onside kicks?
That's
I don't.
what I was thinking.
I don't remember the last time I've seen anybody get hurt on an onside kick. I mean,
Although, because it's one of those change of possessions, or there's going to be a commercial break after whatever happens, that we may not see an injury because they already go into a timeout, and that person may be laying on the field for the first half of our commercial break, and they
yeah, I mean that's possible.
But yeah,
you would think you would hear about it though, whether or not you see it. You know,
yeah.
they come back from break. Hey, what's his face from special teams got hurt?
Nobody cares about special teams.
You probably wouldn't care. It's like, okay, whatever, get somebody else.
Yep, exactly. I don't know where I stand on the issue. I think it's going to make for more exciting games.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
But you're going to give guys like, Rodgers and Brady, who can pull something, out of their butts. They're gonna do something.
They should change the rule. 4th and 15, but you can't use your starting quarterback.
Wow, that would be amazing. And
yes.
Then, the last couple of years, with the Eagles, we could have had backup quarterback. Whatever. We'll take the chance.
Well, then people would start starting their worst quarterback. And then they're like,
at the beginning of the game, they take the first snap. Technically, he's the starter, so we can use the other guy.
There's always loopholes. And I guarantee you the first person to use that loophole would be Belichick.
Oh, of course. I was just going to say, the king of loopholes, he would know. He would start his punter at quarterback or something. So he had every quarterback option no matter what happens. Well, that's it for news. We do have a new but probably long running segment, and here we go.
Cringeworthy Player of the Week.
The first one's not going to be too cringeworthy, but I thought it was funny nonetheless. And our first cringeworthy player of the week is the guy who just came home to Philadelphia, Deshaun Jackson. He apparently last year, when his former team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, played against the Eagles, when he scored on that first play, he ran by the sidelines yelling at Doug Peterson or whoever was over there, "You should have never let me go," while Doug Peterson yelled back, "I wasn't even here." So, dude, Deshaun, hey, get your facts straight before you start yelling things. I mean, most of that team wasn't even there the last time you played a snap.
Right, exactly. And then, of course, it's like, you shouldn't have let me go. And, well, you want to come over here? I mean,
I'm not arguing with you. I wish we would have still had you when I took over the head coaching job. But
yeah,
I wasn't the one. You gotta blame somebody else. And we've been blaming that Chip Kelly person for quite a while now on a lot of different things. So, all right, let's move on to our ADP discussion. We'll highlight some of the big, weird, eye-raising ADP rankings here, but most of them are going to be pretty on the nose right now.
Yeah.
There's going to be some guys that I think are too low and some guys I think might be a little too high. And I guess we'll just start off with, and of course we're talking about PPR.
Yes.
First overall pick, I think, is mostly going to be Saquon Barkley after the year he had.
It is, but that is, for me, one too high.
Of course it's one too high.
Because there's a certain somebody that if I have the number one pick this year, I am not going to take anybody else.
Man crush.
Are we talking about your man crush?
Yes, you're talking about my man crush, and that is Christian McCaffrey. I will I will draft him number 1 overall every single time. I don't care where he is in the draft. If I have the opportunity to get him, he is mine.
I can't blame you. I mean, there's basically 4 guys that I have no arguments against.
Right.
Barkley, McCaffrey, and the other 2 are Zeke and Kamara. I mean, with Mark Ingram gone and just Latavius Murray coming to fill him in, I think Kamara is due for a giant season. So I'll have to tell everybody here. I just, I said earlier I did a best ball draft and I ended up with pick 5. So I did not get any of those 4 guys. I would have been happy with any single one of them following to me. And now we get into the discussion of like, okay, are you taking a wide receiver next, or are you going to take another running back? And those next running backs are Melvin Gordon, Todd Gurley, and Le'Veon Bell. Which of those gives you the most confidence going into this season right now?
Well, if it's a redraft, it's hard not to go with Gurley. But if it's a dynasty, it's really probably wouldn't even go with a running back right here. I'd probably go with a wide receiver. But since we're probably talking redraft, you'd probably go to Gurley, but that arthritic knee really does play with your mind a little bit. And right there, and I might consider Le'Veon Bell just because I'm kind of a homer when it comes to things like that. But, I mean, Melvin Gordon's a fine pick, too. It's just really, I would probably go with either Gurley or Bell in that spot.
Yep, in that spot I was in, and I went with Gurley. And I know a few weeks ago was telling everybody it's time to sell Gurley. Well, that's in dynasty leagues. I am going with this one season, and all he has to do is give me a few great games, and I'll be happy with the outcome. I thought about Le'Veon, but I actually just traded for him in the flag league, so I'm not going to put all my eggs in the Le'Veon basket quite yet. But I went Gurley. I would have went Bell next, and then Gordon after that, and that's just for this year. That's not dynasty purposes. So
right, exactly. Yeah.
Again, it's basically personal preference on those 3 guys going into the year, and then of course you've got your stud wide receivers: DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Devontae Adams. Those are the next 3 in the ADP here. Which of those guys are you wanting number 1?
Number 1 wide receiver, it's either Hopkins or Adams. I'd probably put Julio a step down from them, and I almost rather have OBJ and Michael Thomas before Julio, just because of preference. That's not because of anything that is I can never say this word.
You do.
That word is it's not because of stats, all right? But it's just a personal preference when it comes to that. But honestly, Julio, OBJ, and Michael Thomas are all about the same to me. I think Adams is going to be better than Julio, and Hopkins and Adams are about the same level for me.
Now, if we're talking best ball, in the second round, I ended up with Julio Jones, but this is best ball. He's going to have some monster games.
That's a perfect
what you got to take into account. Yes.
Oh yeah.
But if you're just doing a regular redraft league or even a dynasty league, Devontae Adams is my guy there, because we told you he had one of the best consistent seasons I've ever seen. The guy never scored less than 16 points in a PPR game last year.
Right. It's amazing.
Ask for anything better than that.
No, you really can't. I mean, when it comes to consistency, I almost go berserk over it. I just every time I see a consistent player, I just gotta get it.
All right. Well, in between those 5 guys that Tom mentioned there, Hopkins, Julio, Devontae, OBJ, and Michael Thomas, we have my first iffy ADP ranking, and that is James Conner.
Yeah.
I know what he did last year was awesome, but he's also got a little bit of injury concern, and that whole offense, we are just not sure what's going to happen next year.
Well, I think James Conner is the guy going forward, and I don't think there's any doubt to that. So if this was a dynasty, I actually kind of like the position there, because he was a rookie 2 years ago, so he's got a lot of time left, and he was very successful last year. But at 11, it's kind of iffy for a redraft. I would honestly, if I'm going running back here, which I probably wouldn't, depending on my situation, I guess. But I'd probably just rather go with David Johnson.
Who is next on our list. And
Yeah.
I've been touting him a little bit. I did it last year, and of course he wasn't the number 1 overall pick that I wish he would have been last year, but he still did good. And now he's got a coach that loves to throw to the running back. So I agree with you. I would take David Johnson over James Conner in this instance.
Yep.
And then we've got two of, in my opinion, the worst ADP rankings of the moment. Almost actually 3 in a row here. And it's all the Kansas City Chiefs guys. Travis Kelce at 15, Pat Mahomes at 16, and Tyreek Hill at 17. I'm not touching him there. Are you?
I'm not touching Travis Kelce there. I wouldn't mind touching him a little bit later. But out of them 3, Travis Kelce is the only one that's anywhere close to worth it right here.
Do you remember the last time we took a tight end this high in drafts? Not you and I, but as a fantasy community, the last time we took a guy this high at tight end was Rob Gronkowski, and he just hasn't. It was never worth it. I mean,
it would have been worth it if you drafted him in the years that he went crazy in. But I mean, it's Kelce right now. I mean, it's really, if Hill is out and he's not going to play, that's the only real target that Mahomes has. So I would imagine he's going to get a ton of looks, which makes it almost, it's not even close to worth it at 15. He has to drop down at least another 10 spots before you consider it. But Pat Mahomes, no way. You cannot draft him this high, especially without the weapons that he may or may not have. We have to find out more about that before you even consider drafting him this high. And Dalvin Cook, I mean, just it makes your stomach drop when you think about him. It's just like, man, this is just the guy that you really thought could do it, and maybe he does, but that maybe is a maybe, and I can't go with a maybe.
Oh, there's one guy in front of Dalvin Cook in this list that I still think might be a little high, even though we loved him last year. But last year we got him in the 5th round, and that's Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know that he's worth the 2nd round pick. I don't, because here it is. Juju, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, and then Antonio Brown. Are we really taking Juju above Antonio Brown right now? I don't think I can do it yet.
I'm not doing that. Antonio Brown, yes, their car is not Roethlisberger, but Juju is not Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown has proven every single year that he has played the game, every one of them except for like his rookie year.
Right.
It's like, how do you go against that? And how is it that he's not grouped up into the other above Travis Kelce? I mean, he's got to be above Travis Kelce, right?
I understand we have touted the what's the word I'm looking for? The effectiveness of having a stud tight end. We do the first 3 or 4 guys, but in the 2nd round is just no. Antonio Brown is a PPR monster.
Right.
Shouldn't change that much.
In the 2nd round for Travis Kelce, on this one, he's 15th. If you're in a 14-person league, that is a 2nd round pick with the 1st pick in the 2nd round. That is just not okay with me. I cannot do that.
Nope. So the guy in there that we didn't mention is Joe Mixon. I'm not sold on Joe Mixon. I understand that he is basically the guy there in Cincy, but
he's absolutely worth this spot. Okay. There's really no other running back that I can see going forward that has a more sure of a thing than Joe Mixon does. I don't like it. I'd rather have some of the guys ahead of him, no doubt, but I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be just the only guy in Cincinnati. So I'm going with him at 18 or somewhere around there before I go with Nick Chubb or any of them.
Yep. The next few people, I'm good with Mike Evans here at the end of the 2nd round. Like you just mentioned, Nick Chubb is right there at the end. I guess it depends on who you went with. If he's your 2nd running back at the end of the 2nd round and you want to load up on running backs and you think you can do wide receivers better later, all right. I'm okay with that. Mike Evans there at the 23rd spot. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine. He's actually a really good wide receiver, and there's not a lot there anymore. I mean, Godwin's going to be something, but
yeah, we'll get to him in a minute.
Yeah, I'm just saying Mike Evans is going to be the target on that team, so you have to know that he's going to get a lot of looks.
Then we have the very end of the second round, Zach Ertz again. Yep. If you have to take a tight end that high, I don't know that your team is going to look as good as it could have. We were taking tight ends in the third round last year, whether it be Kelsey or Ertz. Unfortunately, neither one of us had, I don't think, any shares of George Kittle. So
no.
We didn't get lucky there. But
let's not forget people were taking Gronk in the third round as well.
That's very true.
They were expecting him to be better than what he was, but he obviously, I said it. Yeah, he wasn't going to be that good. And I was right.
Yep. So if you can get either of those guys in the third round, I'm good. But I think the second is just early for tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start off the third round with Adam Thielen. He's whatever. If he plays like the first half of last year, that's a great spot for him. If he plays like the second half of last year, I don't know.
I'd say it's about the right spot for him. There are a couple guys that I think I would rather take more than Thielen, unless we're talking dynasty, but we're not. But yeah, I would rather have a couple other guys in that spot.
The next head scratcher for me, because I don't think I'm going to touch him anywhere near this ADP, and that is Damian Williams.
Yeah,
at the beginning of the third round. Can we really trust him?
No, you can't, because they have what, Carlos Hyde, right?
Right.
So I can't trust Damian Williams this high. If somebody's taking him this high, go for it. He's got to at least drop another 10 spots for me to even think about it.
And the next guy on this list, both Tom and I have been saying yuck, yuck, yuck for a couple of years now because of all of his injuries and who knows what, Mr. Leonard Fournette out of Jacksonville, which I have to say I did take in the third round in my best ball league.
Right, but this is 303 we're talking about right here. We're not talking about late. I think he's more of a 310. I mean, it's not too horrible of a pick if you're getting him in the middle or at the end of the third round. But if 303 is stretching it, but I could understand it. I just don't know if I could do it there.
If you knew he could be healthy for 14 games out of the season, 303 I think is fine.
Oh yes, absolutely.
But
no doubt.
That's never, ever going to be a sure thing ever again.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's run down a few more here real quick that I see no problems with. Keenan Allen, George Kittle, T.Y. Hilton, A.J. Green, all good bets. I got A.J. Green in the fourth round in my best ball, so I'm good there.
That's a good deal. And then Keenan Allen and T.Y. Hilton are the guys that I would put ahead of Thielen. Yes. I just want to make that clear because I said that earlier.
And we've got a number of running backs in here. We'll talk about the two wide receivers in between them really quick. Amari Cooper and Stephon Diggs. I'm probably fading them in the end of the third round. I'm not a big fan of either of them. What about you?
For me, they're fourth round material, or at least close to fourth round material. I can't. At this point, you probably already have some wide receivers that you drafted, at least one. And if you only have one, maybe you consider it, but. There's other guys I would rather have, no doubt about that.
Yeah. So here are the clump of running backs that are at the end of the third, beginning of the fourth. There's a bunch, so stay with us.
Yeah.
Sony Michel, Marlon Mack, Aaron Jones, Kerryon Johnson, Devonta Freeman, Phillip Lindsay, Mark Ingram, and Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
I do not like this order one bit.
I'm okay with Sony Michel to a certain extent, but man, he proved it for like the last 2-3 weeks and then into the playoffs, but he hasn't proved it for an entire season.
Right.
And that's where I think White is something that could be a good steal. If he's going to go as late as what it looks like he's going to go, that's probably a good spot for him. But Mac, man, right now you don't even know if he's going to be the starter. And then Aaron Jones, Kerryon Johnson, Devontae Freeman, I actually like that. I think he's going to be successful. I mean, there's no doubt. Mark Ingram, I love it. I absolutely love where he's going right now in drafts. Philip Lindsay, I like. Derrick Henry, I'm always going to be iffy on until he absolutely proves me wrong.
Right.
But yeah, that's a very interesting list, and it's definitely not ordered in the way that I would.
If you had to take one of those guys, which one would it be?
Devontae Freeman.
Okay. I can't argue too much with that. I mean, he's got his own issues, but
Yeah.
I think if you need somebody who is going to play every week, maybe not give you high point totals.
The thing is he gets hurt like all the time.
Right.
So I would have to reconsider and maybe go with like a Mark Ingram or something around there. But I couldn't go with anybody else ahead of Ingram at this point, because Ingram, I think, is going to be the guy.
Yep.
And I don't think it's going to be even close. I think he's going to go crazy.
I think Tom and I may have just a little bit of a man crush. Yes. We're following Mark Ingram this year. We're telling you guys right now, we like him. I think he's going to be very consistent. And that, I mean, out of all those guys, I would be the most okay with in constructing my team for just this year.
Exactly.
So then we've got a few wide receivers: Edelman, Cooks, Galladay, Kupp. They all come with their issues, and Edelman obviously should be fine. Cooks is in that Rams offense where you never know who the big wide receiver is going to be for a week. Kupp again right alongside there, and then Robert Woods is just a couple of places down there, so they're all right here. Which one of those Rams wide receivers do you trust?
The Rams wide receivers, I trust Cooks more, but as far as the order that they put it in, this is actually pretty accurate when it comes to where I would rank them. I think Edelman's going to have a stellar year. Cooks is going to have a fine year. Galladay, Kupp, and then Woods. I like it.
Yep. Nope. I'm fine with that order.
Yep.
I like Kupp more than Cooks, but I don't know that I can trust Kupp in the end of the fourth round. It seems a bit high for me.
Yeah.
With his coming back from an injury. So we'll see.
Yeah. I definitely hear you there. But there's one guy that I probably would take. I don't know if I would, because if he's going to fall this far, then so be it. But I would consider him to be a better fantasy football wide receiver than the guys we just mentioned. That's Jarvis Landry. The Cleveland Browns are going to be a really good team this year. And so I may have a little bit of a man crush on Jarvis Landry this year, like you did last year.
Oh yeah, that's who I got in my fifth round of the best ball. So I'm right there with you. I was able to get him a little bit lower than the ADP on this one. So
and on this list, it says the lowest that he went was 608.
608? I would love to get him at 608. That's ridiculous.
My gosh, 608 would be crazy. But I don't want to pass up the other tight end that's on this list, and that's Eric Ebron.
Yes, that's 21 spots past where George Kittle went. So there's almost 2 full rounds in between tight ends there. There is a drop off. Eric Ebron, great for best ball. I was not able to get him in best ball.
Yeah.
But I think he is definitely somebody to keep an eye on if you don't like the guys in this area, because there are some iffy ones. Quarterbacks are starting to fall here in the ADP. Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Luck. And then you've got some really iffy people: Chris Godwin, Calvin Ridley, Tevin Coleman, Tyler Boyd. I do not want to take any of those guys.
No, absolutely not. But I want to back up a little bit, because we skipped over Tariq Cohen and Darius Geis and Chris Carson. And I think Tariq Cohen might go a little higher now with the Jordan Howard news, but I can't imagine he goes too much higher, because he is one of them type of backs that's kind of electric. So I don't think that he's going to be the main squeeze behind in the backfield.
I think Tariq Cohen is going to be exactly what he was last year. I don't think
it's
he
very
really
possible
goes any further. And if he starts going up the ADP ranks and he starts going into the beginning of the fourth or end of the third, I don't know that I can take him because it's just, I don't know.
I actually like Darius Geis here too. If you believe, which we're gonna have to find out later, I want to get some more information on him personally. But if you believe that he's going to come back and be number one starter week one, then absolutely worth it right here. Unfortunately, they did get Adrian Peterson back, which kind of threw a wrench into
what a 2-year deal, no less.
Yeah, that's what's kind of weird. But I do like Geis here. I think he's going to be the guy once he becomes healthy and understand. I mean, he's got to understand the offense by now. He's probably sitting there reading it, memorizing it all year. But once he gets it and clicks and everything, I believe that he will be the guy. I mean, that one run he had was really good. But we can move on.
Yeah. Well, here's the fourth quarterback off the board, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And then the superior value, in my opinion, for the New England backfield, James White here.
Yeah. Yep.
At the end of the fifth round, if you're talking about 12-team leagues anyway.
And we're talking about PPR.
Yes.
And we're not talking about standard. I mean, this would be about right if it was standard. I mean, he'd probably be dropping even lower. But PPR, I got to believe he's going to be a lot higher than this.
He was the number 7 running back last year in PPR formats. Now, of course, you can never completely count on a strictly PPR back to do the same thing every single year. But my goodness, James White in the 5th round, who has a possibility of being a top 15 back, hell yeah.
Exactly. At 509, that's where they got him. And the latest is 6'10".
Yeah.
You can't be serious. With James White, if you get him anywhere close to 6'10", you just won the draft. Right? That's my opinion, but my gosh, he is it's like the Patriots kind of went back, but also kind of didn't go back to what they've used to do. They have 2 guys that are actually pretty good. At least I think so. But it's hard to know which one is absolutely going. I think it's going to be a 1-2 punch, and I think it's more of a 1-1 punch. They're both going to be very successful, and I think James White's going to get more PPR, more receptions than can't think of the other guy's name right now offhand, but
Sony Michel.
I think he's going to get more receptions. I wish we were doing ESP today because that would be my ESP.
We're going to have to start that back up.
We got to start it back up.
Getting close. We got to get through the draft here, and then we'll probably start our ESPs right back up. Well, let's move along. Alshon Jeffrey, that's about right where he goes.
Yeah.
Kenyon Drake at the end of the top-ish tier running backs. I mean, somebody's got to get the balls in Miami, and somebody's got to score for them. Why not Kenyon Drake this year?
Yeah, I've got this. I traded for him in the flag league.
Yes, you did.
It was a very strange trade. However, I did get what I believe is the best wide receiver also back in that trade as well. But I believe,
and you also got his backup in Kalen Ballage.
That is very true.
That helps.
That's definitely a big reason to do the trade. But I believe that Kenyon Drake's going to be halfway decent. It's tough. I don't want to go too far into any of Miami players because that is the next team I'm going to do on Shuffle a Deck, and I don't want to give up any of my stuff on these people. But I don't know who I'm going to do yet. But I gotta save some of whatever it is I'm going to talk about for that. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
They got Hunter Henry and then O.J. Howard. Do you really take Hunter Henry over O.J. Howard?
Wow. That is a great question. In the 6th round of my best ball, I actually took the next guy on the list, which was Evan Ingram.
That's perfectly understandable. But for me, Hunter Henry over O.J. Howard, with the Buccaneers not having the guys that they had last year, Adam Humphries and Deshaun Jackson, they got to go somewhere else besides Evans. and it's got to be OJ Howard, and he wasn't that bad last year. And
No.
Hunter Henry didn't even play. So we got to put some stuff in perspective here, folks.
This has got to be the last time people put any faith in Hunter Henry. We've been saying this for 3 years. This guy's taking over for Antonio Gates. He's going to be the next big thing. Phillip Rivers loves his tight end. It's going to be Hunter Henry. Well, you've got one more shot, guy, and I'm not taking him at the end or the beginning of the 6th round.
No, there's no doubt. The tight ends for me are going to fall a little bit because if you don't get one of the top tier guys, you might as well just kind of get one of the mediocre guys because it's just all kind of the same. But I actually think Ivan Engram is going to be pretty good. So taking him in your best ball leagues is a great option there. But I digress. We can move on. We don't need to spend all our time on tight ends.
There's one more tight end that just recently retired, and I did a fantasy fuel on the fire. Rob Gronkowski. I was looking at his high and low draft, and somebody took him at the beginning of the 3rd round. I'm like, oh man,
yeah,
you should have waited just a little bit longer, and you would have not had to worry about him retiring.
Yeah.
Receiver in between all these tight ends, Doug Baldwin. That's just, as long as he doesn't continue with, so much injury history. He's going to have some hernia surgery, I believe it was in the offseason here. So Doug Baldwin's a little bit iffy, but, in the 6th round, that's pretty good value for him.
That's a pretty good spot for him. I don't mind that at all, as long as he plays.
Yes. Couple more quarterbacks in this area, Deshaun Watson and Drew Brees. If you gotta have a quarterback, I guess those are 2 pretty decent guys, but you and I are probably not taking quarterbacks even in the 6th round. We're still gonna wait because there's plenty of guys that you can get.
There's all sorts of people when you can wait so long for quarterback.
Oh, here's a few more wide receivers: Mike Williams, Allen Robinson, and Tyler Lockett. Which of those 3 should be on your list?
I liked all 3 of them, to be honest, this year. I kind of think I like Allen Robinson the least, but I really think Mike Williams is going to have a great year, and Tyler Lockett should have a really good year too. But honestly, I think they're all going to have a pretty good year. Allen Robinson, I want to look back at his stats. He had that one really amazing year, and it's just like he's going to get back to this sooner or later. And I think that once Trubisky and him get on the same page, really get on the same page, we could see another big, huge year out of Allen Robinson. So I don't want to bash him for any reason because I actually think he's got some kind of value, no doubt. But I really like Mike Williams this year. I think that's a very valuable pick in the 6th round.
Yes, with the departure of Tyrell Williams, Mike Williams should get a little bit larger of a share of Phillip Rivers passes, and they're going to pass and pass and pass out there in LA with the Chargers. So
yep.
I think of the 3 of those, that's who I would take just based on volume. Tyler Lockett is a guy who was absolutely in sync with Russell Wilson last year.
Right. Yep.
Whether he does that on a bigger scale and has a higher volume, if he could get a higher volume, I think he would be a steal here at the end of the 6th round. But we just don't know how much they're going to throw to him.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a risk there with him. No doubt about that.
A few running backs here. Our steady man last year, Lamar Miller. I think this is fairly good value for him. They did not add any running backs that I remember in the offseason.
He's the guy, and if you're getting a running back in the 6th round, I don't mind it.
He can be your RB2 and get you right around 10 points a game if that's how you want to play your running back game.
I mean, think about this. You could get somebody in the first, your running back in the 1st round, and then you could get like 3 or 4 wide receivers, and then all of a sudden you get Lamar Miller. Yeah. You got like a really good lineup there. If Lamar Miller is going to, he's the guy. There's really nobody else.
Draft somebody, and one of those guys on this list right now is Josh Jacobs, and he is right behind Jerick McKinnon. Now, Jerick McKinnon is still a complete unknown in San Francisco since he tore his ACL last year, but Josh Jacobs is a complete unknown because we don't even know where he's going to go yet.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, maybe the Texans will try and snag a running back in the draft, and then that will, decrease Lamar Miller's value. Maybe they're still high on Dante Foreman. I don't know.
I don't understand.
Show anything last year.
I don't understand the ADPs that I feel like when you're doing an ADP this early, or if you're doing a draft this early, you should kind of leave their running backs out of it because you have no idea where they're even going. Right. So you shouldn't even have them in this conversation, because if he goes somewhere where he's just going to sit, like if he goes to the Cowboys, I mean, he's not going to. No. But if he went to the Cowboys, he's absolutely worthless. Right. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't like it. Although it would be a horrible spot if he went to the Rams.
Boy, here we go.
I don't want to go too deep on it, but it would make some sense if the Rams.
We all, well, not everybody, but a lot of us bashed the Rams when they took Todd Gurley. Coming off of, what was it, Trey Mason? I think was.
Yeah.
And we were like, why? He just had a great year, and I'm not going to bash somebody taking a great running back if it fits. And hey, maybe if they do, we'll be like, oh.
It's more, if they do that, then that knee is more serious than they're even letting on. Like, we all know it's kind of serious. We've gotten to that point now. But if they draft a running back, you better believe that it's more serious. And I wouldn't even touch him if they draft a running back.
Oh, yeah. I will be regretting taking him at the 5th pick in the first round if they take Josh Jacobs or somebody as high as he goes. Oh, boy. The other running back in this little clump is Rashad Penny. We didn't talk too much about Chris Carson earlier, but he had the last 8 games of the season were awesome.
Yeah. This is another situation where I think Carson and Penny are like a 1-1 punch. It's almost like they don't know exactly who they want to be the guy, so they continue to make both of them the guy. And I think that, like you said, at the end of the season last year, it was pretty much a Penny show, and I liked it. And I think that it's just we're gonna have to wait and see. I'm probably not touching either one of them, be honest, but if I had to, I could definitely take Penny this late in the 7th round.
Sure. Let's skip through a few, and we'll kind of hop around a little bit, not talk about everybody, but LaShawn McCoy in the 7th round. Now, I got him in the 10th round in my best ball, so I was quite happy with that. Yeah. And you just did a shuffling the deck about LaShawn McCoy and Frank Gore, and I think both of them together are going to make a decent punch as long as that offensive line can hold up. So if you can get LaShawn McCoy as your 3rd running back, maybe not even as a flex option yet, but if you can get him as your 3rd running back,
absolutely.
Hey, why not?
Absolutely, because with Frank Gore's signing, he's going to be taking a lot of the more conventional things. He's not really a PPR running back. No. So McCoy is, I wouldn't be surprised if they do a little tricky things and they just put both of them out there at the same time. If they do that, McCoy's value to me goes skyrocketing. It's going to be a lot better if they put them both out there at the same time.
Well, LaShawn McCoy has done some Wildcat stuff in his day. So
yeah, that's true.
Could be an interesting mix there.
I definitely like him in the 7th round. If you get him in the 10th round, that's almost gold. That's a 3rd running back in the 10th round. I mean, that's awesome.
Right. Yep.
But yeah.
Got next 2 running backs, Kareem Hunt and Jordan Howard here in the 7th-ish round, late 7th, early 8th. You'd be taking a giant chance with Kareem Hunt because he's out for the first 8 weeks. He didn't even attempt to appeal the 8 to try and cut it down. So
no.
You're missing 8 weeks. That's not, I don't think I can take him for a regular just redraft league and be confident. I mean,
no,
you really have to luck your running backs up to this point.
Even then, you're wasting a spot on your roster if you take him. Even if you take him with your last pick, at some point you're going to be tempted to say, man, I really don't need him on my roster. I need somebody else. And he's not going to even play until the 9th week of the season.
Mm-hmm.
What is their bye? I got to look that up.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it was somewhere around the 11th or 12th week.
It's the 11th. It's right here. So you're going to miss 9 weeks of Kareem Hunt if you do that. It's really not a smart. You can't do it. I would not draft him this year. If you have him in Dynasty, like I know you do in a contract league, but you have to hold on to him, and you have to. It's not really wasting a spot because you have him for years to come.
Right.
But I couldn't do it for a redraft. I just won't, unless I'll trade for him later on. Maybe
Right.
I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up a whole ton either. So we'll see.
Nope. The other guy there was Jordan Howard. We talked about him at the top of the hour. I don't know that I can draft him in fantasy this year. I mean, he would have to fall because I just don't know what the usage is going to be. I mean, the Eagles still have Corey Clement coming back from injury. Josh Adams showed signs. Wendell Smallwood showed some sign. I mean, together, and we all know Doug Peterson loves running back by committee. You know, we saw it with Blunt, Ajayi, and Clement during the Super Bowl run. So best ball, maybe, but I don't even know about this high.
Boy, it's the 8th round. It's when you're getting this is like a running back 3 at this point. Let's remember where we drafted him last year. Right. This was at the end of the 2nd round last year.
Remember where you drafted him last year.
Okay, I drafted him in one league, whatever. But at the end of the 2nd round, all the way down to the very beginning of the 8th round, that is a big jump down. And I don't think he's that bad of a running back to where I wouldn't consider taking him in the 8th round. I mean, even in the 7th round, I'd almost consider it if I absolutely thought I had to have some kind of running back security. If I absolutely don't need a running back here, I'm not going to take him. There's no doubt about that. But I don't mind it in the 8th round if I need some kind of security.
And he's better than the next 3 running backs on this list anyway. Royce Freeman, Austin Eckler, and Matt Breida.
Yeah.
I think he'll be more consistent than those guys. We liked Eckler last year, but he had his issues as well. So,
well, the thing with Eckler is he's not the starting running back.
Right.
Where Jordan Howard will be the starting running back. At least you would assume.
I would assume that he'll at least get every chance to be
exactly. Yeah. And honestly, if you're going Eckler, we're skipping over a lot of people here, but I don't want to go too far. But Latavius Murray is almost a little more valuable to me than Eckler at this point, just because if they even try to treat Murray like they treated Mark Ingram, this is going to be a pretty valuable pick here. But it's hard to say that right now.
Now here's one of my steals of this ADP ranking. At the very end of the 8th, beginning of the 9th round, they have Golden Tate.
Yeah, no doubt.
That is a great spot, and that'll be your 3rd or 4th wide receiver. And he is a great flex play no matter what. I think Eli is going to force him the ball because Eli doesn't throw it down the field as much as he used to. And Golden Tate is great around, the line of scrimmage and the first down marker. So PPR, why not Golden Tate? Love that pick.
I really like that pick as well. And they got Christian Kirk ahead of him, which, I mean, that's fine, but I'd rather have Golden Tate right there for sure than Christian Kirk.
They also have Corey Davis, Sammy Watkins, Dante Pettis, and DK Metcalf thrown in the mix here. And I would take Golden Tate over every single one of those as far as consistency goes.
Yeah. Did you say Sammy Watkins? Because I might take Sammy Watkins over Golden Tate. I might, just because.
I said as far as consistency goes.
Okay, consistency, I understand it. But, yeah. Otherwise, I'm going Sammy Watkins. And I know it pains me to say it, but I probably would over Golden Tate this year if I had to.
Here we go. End of the 9th round. There's Larry Fitzgerald and Sterling Shepard. Those are pretty decent values. I mean, we got to know who the quarterback is going to be in Arizona. If it's not going to be Josh Rosen, who knows? I mean, Larry Fitzgerald is still fairly good here, close to the 10th round. I mean, I got him in the 12th round, I think. 13th round in my best ball draft. So why not?
Yeah. Here's another question I got for you. Would you really in a redraft take Christian Kirk over Larry Fitzgerald?
No, there is zero chance that I would.
I don't understand how he is in the 8th 8th pick of the 8th round, and then Larry Fitzgerald is in the 10th pick in the 9th round.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What the high pick for Kirk was 5'11". Holy
5'11".
I don't think this had anything to do with dynasty because there is a dynasty option, and we're not looking at that
We're
one.
not looking at the dynasty option. That is wow.
And his low was 9'10", and Larry Fitzgerald's high was 7'03", and low was 10'12".
I understand the 703 to a certain extent, but man, I can't understand why Christian Kirk is so much higher.
Nope, doesn't make any sense to me.
And even the next wide receiver on the list is Sterling Shepard. I'd have him over Christian Kirk.
Yeah. Yep. Got Trey Burton here in the 10th round. Vance McDonald was a little earlier in that, and that's probably because of the departure of Jesse James to Detroit. So he'll be the pass catching tight end there.
Yeah.
Well, we got Deshaun Jackson, Geronimo Allison, D.D. Westbrook, T. There's just a bunch of what if wide receivers, and then 2 what if wide receivers. I think one of these is actually a pretty good value. I'm going to tout Devin Funchess just a little bit. I think he went to the perfect spot with Andrew Luck, but I think Adam Humphries went to the worst spot with Marcus Mariota. Man. Although Marcus Mariota had even more injuries than I remembered him having last year. There was a little bit of a list. It was nerve, it was spine, it was list after list of injuries. Yeah. So I guess maybe we can give Marcus Mariota one more shot, but I'm taking Funchess over Humphries here.
Absolutely. Humphries for me. I couldn't. I'd have to drop him down even lower. I just can't do it right now. He's going to have to prove to me something beyond with Mariota on the Tennessee Titans. And then maybe next year I'll draft him if he proves it, but I can't do it this year.
Yep. One of your from last year, Lamar Jackson going here at the end of the 11th, beginning of the 12th round. He could be, I think he's a great number 2 in a best ball format.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what I can expect out of him.
Well, he is, I can tell you what to expect. I can tell you you're going to be very happy and very sad at the same time because he's going to make you happy. If you're starting him, if you're starting him every single week, there's a problem there.
Yeah. Well, there's been a few quarterbacks I passed over just briefly because I saw Lamar Jackson. Got to go back, and we've got to talk about and Josh Allen because a wide receiver here coming up, John Brown, I think is making Josh Allen that much better in my eyes. And John Brown is going beginning of the 12th round. I think that's a really, really good spot. So
yeah,
John Brown hopefully makes Josh Allen that much better. He can hang on to the ball, and Josh Allen in the beginning of the 11th, I think is a good spot if you're just going to wait and wait and wait and wait for quarterbacks. Yeah, I think that's a good spot.
I do like John Brown there. I also like Moncrief. I think Moncrief's going to have a pretty good year.
Yes.
And in the 12th round, I think that's extremely valuable. That's something I'd pounce on that in a second. Tyrell Williams, it's fine right there. I'm not going crazy about it. Anthony Miller, I really like that. I really do. I don't know if I'm drafting him in the 13th round, but I really like his position on the team, and I think he's going to improve quite a bit.
Yep, I can agree with that.
I just got a question. We didn't really discuss this. How far down the list are we going to go with this?
Oh, we were almost done. There's just a couple more guys that I needed to get to. Yeah, there's some running backs, Duke Johnson and Ronald Jones. Obviously, Duke Johnson should have some value the first half of the year, but if you can get that unsuspecting person to take a trade, if he's been doing well, before the halfway point and Kareem Hunt comes back, that would be good. Let's see. There's one of the last guys I wanted to talk about in the beginning of the 14th round. Now, obviously, he's going to jump up, but I don't know how far because Tariq Cohen has gotten everybody's attention.
Yeah,
but
that's
I think
true.
Mike Davis is a great pick anytime after the 10th round. And I think he's going to end up higher than that even. But right now, if you're drafting right now, and I know some of you want to at least,
Yeah.
grab Mike Davis anytime after the 10th round, and I would be ecstatic.
No, I would say yes to that. I don't know about 10th round because there's, like we said earlier, there's a lot of other guys that I would probably consider. But Mike Davis is somebody that is going to have some value unless they draft a running back to take that spot. Because Mike Davis, he had success last year. He really did, but he wasn't the guy. So I'd like to see him in a full year being the guy. If he's going to be the guy, then so be it.
And I guess I'll go one more because I saw a
Okay.
name that stood out to me, and that's in that muddy tight end field. And here we go in the 14th round. Chris Herndon, who
Yeah.
you might be able to say right now is the best tight end in the AFC East.
Yeah. Wow, that's actually kind of surprising.
Just think about that for a minute. No Gronk.
Gronk is gone. It's definitely not Gesicki.
And Tyler Kroft in Buffalo. Well, I like him there.
Wow.
There you go.
We got to end on that, don't we?
Yes, we do. We can end on that unless you want to do a really, really quick recap of.
Yes.
And now it's time for Twat, this week's Antonio Troubles.
Not a whole lot this week from Antonio Brown, but there has been some news out there. Of course, there was some shared audio of trade conversations that he had with his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, and apparently the Patriots, the Eagles, the Titans, the Bills, and the Raiders were all discussed, but he made it clear he did not want to go to Buffalo. So I did hear the rumblings of the Eagles, and I was like, I think that would be amazing, but I don't think we wanted to give up quite as much, although it wasn't that much to give up, for him to go to the Raiders. So
I hope now that the Bills make the playoffs, and I hope the Raiders make the playoffs, and I hope the Bills beat the Raiders in the playoffs.
That would be awesome.
Just to shut him up.
And one more tangent on there was about Emmanuel Sanders leaving the Steelers. That year he was a free agent. The Steelers offered him 3 years, $9 million, and only $1 million guaranteed. He walked into the office and said, I don't want to take that deal. He was told, who do you think you are, Antonio Brown? And Emmanuel Sanders said, I wanted to say F you, but I got up and told him I'll never forget that. And Emmanuel Sanders, he got much more guaranteed from the Broncos when he went there, and he's had a pretty successful career since he left the Steelers. So, as much as the Steelers are good at developing and drafting wide receivers, they didn't keep him, and they probably should have.
I could be wrong on this, but Emmanuel Sanders has just as many Super Bowl rings as Antonio Brown does he not?
That does sound accurate.
Now, wait, when's the last time the Steelers won the Super Bowl?
I think he was actually on the team
when they won it.
They won it, but that was before he broke out. He didn't have much of an effect that season, so yes, it's either tied or Antonio doesn't have any. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's where we're going to end it this week. I would like to thank you for listening. It was a little bit longer of an episode, but we really wanted to dive into some drafting strategies and some ADPs this week. So I think it would be useful if you are drafting soon, at least, which, at least best ball, we are getting into the swing of things. So again, thank you for listening. You can find us on Twitter at Fantasy Fuel. You can find us on Facebook.com/Fantasy Fuel. Also, the Fantasy Football Stardom and Sit-em page on Facebook. We're starting to really get into the swing of things there. We've got a YouTube channel that you can watch this on now. That'll be in the show notes. It's not an easy to remember URL yet, so you can find the link there. I guess that's about it. So again, thanks for listening. Rate us on Apple and all those good podcast platforms. And don't forget, stay fueled up this off season.